Hello, beautifuls. I'm Sudarshan, a Starshine Star. It's a beautiful day. It's Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. I have a YouTube channel called It's the Dazzling of the Light, or you can just go to YouTube and type in at Sudarshan, a Starshine Star to access all of my podcasts there. And I have a few videos on a playlist there if you want to actually see me talking and learn something. There you go. Please remember, if you like this content, to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And why not join my YouTube channel? That's wonderful. Thank you in advance. I was really not planning on doing this. I have a busy day. I have something to do, and I have another podcast prepared, not long, but to put out, actually two, which I was going to put out later this afternoon and early evening. But when I feel this call, I have to listen to it. And this is nothing prepared, so this is probably just going to be rough and raw, and that's just how it's going to be. I like to begin all of my clips with the three opening prayers, which are in Sanskrit and Telugu, and they are short. And I do this to bless, uplift, purify, and protect you, me, and this clip. They are the Guru Mantra, the Ganesha Mantra, and the Gayatri Mantra. Before I do that, I command on the sacred, holy blood of Jesus the Christ, Yeshua, to flow over all of us and all of our beloveds, all of our human beloveds, and all of our animal beloveds. And I ask that Jesus the Christ cast out the spirit of pain, cast out the spirit of fear, cast out the spirit of lack, poverty, and scarcity, neediness, cast out the spirit of hatred, rage, revenge, bitterness, endless heartbreak. Cast out all satanics and all satanic attachments. Cast out all demonics and all demonic attachments. Jesus the Christ, send your healing presence now. Jesus the Christ, please heal the wounds in our souls. Yeshua, we receive your healing presence and your blessings. Thank you so much. Amen. Swaha. I also call on the presence of the Divine Mother Mary, a beautiful aspect of Divine Mother, a beautiful gentleness, but a thoroughly true, fiercely loving, unconditionally loving mother's heart, and a brilliance. Because every true mother knows that there are times when her children do need to be course corrected. They need that discipline. But that doesn't mean the unconditional love flow ever needs to stop. Mother Mary, thank you so much for embracing us here ever more fully. And we know that Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, and Mother Mary are for everyone. That it's not limited and it's not about religion. It is far beyond that. Thank you so much, Jesus. Thank you so much, Mother Mary. Amen. Swaha. And now the prayers. Om, Om, Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshvaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmahi Sri Guruve Namaha. Om Shuklam Bharataram Vishnum Sashivarnam Chatubhujam Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashante. Om Bhurbuva Suvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Excellent. Well, before I begin to say what I felt so pushed by my inner guidance to say, I want to remind any of you who have never listened to me before or gone onto my channel, It's the Dazzling of the Light, that one of the two videos that I have in a playlist there, you can see me talking about it. It's called A Fun Way to Decharge. It's about decharging negativity. It's only a few minutes long. It's a very simple technique. Everybody can do it. And once again, it's not about religion. The only thing is, if you're a Satanist or an atheist, you don't need to bother even listening. It will just have nothing to do with you and your beliefs. So unless you're willing to change or ask for an opportunity to change, don't even bother listening. Or why even listen to me? I don't know. But for everyone else, it's there. As well as I was reminded just now, just as I was chanting the opening prayers, something that I like to share as often as possible and ask all of you to experience this for yourself and share it with others. When babies are crying nonstop, and you see this, and the parents, oftentimes they're new parents, or even if they're not, even if they've already had some children before, they just don't know what to do. The baby, they just are like, I don't know what to do. Do you need to be fed? Your diaper looks fine. Do I take you to the to be checked up? I don't know what is going on. Why are you crying like this? And I want to say that many people are unaware that the energies, and they've been this way, it's not that it's something new. It's just it's very intense right now. There's a lot of negativity and a lot of positivity too, but the positivity doesn't hurt the babies, the children, or any of us. There are a lot of negative, disruptive, swirling energies around, and the babies are very sensitive to that, and they can feel that. Not only they're feeling that, they're feeling all their parents' emotions and anxieties and fears and worries and doubts, as well as, of course, they feel their parents' pure love and warmth and caretaking and all of that. But that's not a problem. So, obviously. So, there's a very easy solution, and this is, once again, has nothing to do with religion. Om is a primordial sound of creation, and it's for everyone. So, you can try this for yourself. It doesn't have to be your baby. I offer it all the time. Ask permission first. People that I don't even know that I'm encountering on the street or in various places with a very fussing, crying baby, and the parents are just at their wits' end. I always ask permission first. But no one's ever said no. I'm always surprised. I'm thinking they're going to say, what? But they don't. And then the fruits are always there. I've never had a null result. So try it for yourself. You just say, Om, like the baby's crying. You just look at the baby and you just start saying, Om, Om, Om. Just keep doing it, for like 30 seconds or more. You'll see the baby, they just get still. And then what happens most of the time, they get very still and then they go in a deep sleep. Yes. And it's always good. Like the parents that I'm doing it for, I remember this, always remember this one young father. He was so distraught, doing everything he could, this little baby, tiny newborn. So I did the Om, and the baby was settling, but then we were outside, and then some very disruptive people went right by, and the baby started perking up into negativity again and started whimpering and kind of thrashing a little bit. So I said to the father, you try it. And he was holding his little baby daughter against his chest, and he just did Om, Om. He just did that a few times. The baby just stopped everything and went into a deep sleep. That was around my community, so I actually saw that father like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours later. He was still carrying his baby around. He told me she's still in the deep sleep. He was going all around doing activities and everything else. He was holding his daughter. She was so peaceful and in a deep sleep. He was just dumbfounded. But I said to him, please, remember to do this and share it. So I'm just sharing that with all of you. It's very simple, and you'll see the fruits for yourself. And why not? Why not? So what I really feel to share is I was starting to reflect on, I saw something very early this morning, some good news about chemtrails, about that RFK Jr. and President Trump are teaming up together to really go after the dark evil forces that have been paying these pilots and doing this program for so long to spray all of us like bugs, to spray all those heavy metals and poisons and toxins out of the airplanes that look like crop dusters, oftentimes. And yes, I've experienced all of this myself. I can almost say within an inch of my face, many, many times. I'm sure most of you have too. And if you haven't, if you think that clouds look like a perfect checkerboard in the sky, or like you're playing bingo or tic-tac-toe, that clouds actually form that way. I'm sure there's some children that think so because that's all they've seen in their lifetimes, because this has been going on for quite a while. But that's contrived, and they're not contrails, as the people that try to gaslight you and get you to shut up, or they don't want you to talk about this because it offends they say, I'm a high intellect and I have this many degrees and you're talking nonsense. No one would ever spray us like that. Well, I'm sorry, but they're idiots. I'm over it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's enough time and experience and everything gone by that anyone that says that now, I would just gently push them to the side and say, just move away. I don't even want to discuss anything else with you. Contrails, which are the natural kind of condensation that you see that comes out of when you're watching an airline or a plane fly over you. It does come out, but that dissipates very rapidly, very quickly. It just dissipates. Chemtrails, which are full of the poisons and the heavy metals, which, yes, aluminum, and if you look on the periodic table of elements, which is Al, barium, which is Ba, you put it together, Baal, it's Baal. It's a major form of Satan that the evils and their minions worship, and that's not by accident that we're being sprayed with that, among other things. And they're paid a lot of money, but not enough, because what they're doing, they will go, those are crimes against humanity. So all those pilots, and I'm sure some of them were blackmailed into it, but the White Hat Alliance will know the difference. They will have the evidence on who was blackmailed. You know, like if some evil minions do things to people, and they do that, and they threaten the lives of a person's family, and the person knows how powerful these minions are, you can call them of the cabal, of the Illuminati, of the Freemasons, of the, Jesuits, of the 13 satanic papal royal bloodline families, of the Khazarian mafia, all of that. They pretty much know they don't have a chance, and they really don't. So you can understand if they go along with it. And the White Hat Alliance will know the difference between that. But the people that went out along with it, either because they are in those offshoot groups, they are like a fringe part of it, or they're sadistic, or they're greedy, or they just made the dumbest mistake of their lives to engage in that kind of criminal activity. Well, that's what I saw early this morning, that finally President Trump, along with RFK Jr., are teaming up to go after that and to stop it. And people have been begging, saying, when are these chemtrails going to be stopped? Because, it's just shocking when you go into that and you realize that when you look at all these quote-unquote forest fires, what they call natural fires, and I don't have to name them all. You've seen them. And you see the photos. Didn't you wonder why forest fires can overwhelm miles and miles and miles and miles, but miss like a big swath or a small swath, and the trees and bushes are evergreen and sprightly with even dew on them. But 10 feet away, there'll be some cars that have been melted into puddles in the street. Do you think fire can do that? Or you see all the trees that are burning infernos from the inside out, that the fire is shooting out from like the holes in the bark, but the tree itself is not on fire? Those are lasers. Those are DEWs, directed energy weapons, that hit those areas, like with all the fires. But what has been seeded for years in the foliage and the brush has been these heavy metals. So that helps to burn the fire past what a natural forest fire will be and turn it into like a smelting oven, just destroying everything. And there's much evidence of that. So anyway, as I was thinking of that, what I'd seen this morning, and then just a little bit ago when I really have something to do, but I was like, I started thinking of that. It made me think I have to talk to you guys. I have to get this message out. And it's not one message, it's just what I feel to say. And it's pretty raw, but I'm just going to say it. There is just no more time to be sleepy. As we look at all these events, like I just did some podcasts on the events of Bondi Beach in Syria, the loss of American soldiers' lives, and one international interpreter in Syria, the almost catastrophe, deadly massacre that would have happened in Bavaria in a German Christmas market, that was foiled. Um, the tragedy that happened at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, in the United States, on campus. I just talked about these things. And you see these things, and even though I did mention the names of who the perpetrators seem to be, I did mention this in my last clip. There's a lot of sus going on, a lot of suspicious things, a lot of question marks. They're definitely false, FLAGS. And why I'm saying this is the beings that are satanic, that are dark, and at the very top, they're not exactly human. They're either humanoids or a human hybrid, or just fully Alpha Draco, reptilian, different things. But they have been controlling. I call them the controllers. I have a series called The Controllers on my YouTube channel. You can scroll down. It's a great series and look at it. They have been controlling, and they've been allowed to control for thousands and thousands of years. Not fully, of course, because Mother, Father, God is always in control. But that's another depth topic. You have to know the nature of Mother Divine, the Creator. And you have to know the nature of Father Divine, the Divine Consciousness. And what is that going on here in this play? It's a divine play, a Leela, Leella, as they say in India. You have to know the different... It's like a song. It's not just a melody. There are also harmonies. There are low notes and high notes, and it's all a mixture. It's all a creation. You have to know the fullness of that orchestration as best you can. Of course, we'll never know everything because, we are in this heaviness, in this material realm, and but we can know enough. We can know enough. So this is not the time to be sleepy anymore, and no matter what the events are, and we're not, it's a war, it's a holy battle. It's cosmic, it's universal, it's all throughout the earth realm. It's between light and dark. This has been prophesied, like I say so many times. The apocalypse from the Greek means the great unveiling. The end times, also prophesied, does not mean the end of humanity. It means the end of the evils and their minions. But possibly it also means the end of a lot of mankind, because mankind is not humanity. Mankind is a kind of a broader topic of beings that were tinkered with by the Anunnaki, who joined up with the fallen angels a very long time ago. And they were great biologists, and they did lots of things with humanity's DNA and inserted things and messed around with things and greatly shortened our lifespans and did all kinds of evil to us. And that's a whole nother topic. I do have some things to put out on some future podcasts, and real future podcasts about that, though. I'm going to revisit that. But also there's a larger than you think portion of Earth realm population that are clones, that are robotoid, that are android, that are hybrid. They're not human. And that knowledge has been trickling in, and it really needs to be known. This earth is not what we think it is. And there's a lot of good news to that. But the only bad news to that is that when you have to face up to how greatly we've been hoodwinked and tricked and gaslit, and then, that happens in our childhood, and then we continue it throughout our lifetimes. And so we just basically, most people are living these lives, of quiet desperation. And then they just quirk off, and then they just have to come back to this earth realm school of heaviness and duality and do it all over again umpteen times. Because we do have personal choice. We do have free will in how much we want to awaken. But we are co-creators with our Mother, Father, God Creator. We are co-creators because we are divine children of Mother, Father, God. We are divine sparks of Mother, Father, God. We have these inherent abilities. So what I want to say is that as I've spoken about on my YouTube channel, I have been able to live a life with a foot in both worlds. I was born as a seer. I was born, with a mission of light and some abilities that I always was aware of. At the same time, I was born into a family that was upper middle class, very privileged materially, but I was abused in many different ways from. Um, but I want to be clear, because when I say that, some people assume that I say that I was RAPED, as a baby or a child. That didn't happen. There were some close calls with that energy, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual abuse um, from my biological family since really I was born. And then later, with my step family, which I've mentioned, my stepfather uh, is the most famous quote unquote shaman on the earth. His name is Miguel Ruiz. Don Miguel Ruiz. Isn't really, his name is Miguel Angel Ruiz, Ruiz. He's most well known for, all of his books are international bestsellers, as well as 2 out of 3 of my stepbrothers. They're very well known in the world. Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. and Don Jose Luis Ruiz. My third stepbrother, Leonardo Carlos, that they call Don Leo or Leo, is not really in the limelight on this track. And the main reason for that, if you didn't know, when you look at this family of not tall, dark-skinned Mexicans coming out of Guadalajara, and all of a sudden their brother is a very tall, he has like cherry red hair, beautiful cherry red hair, and fair skin, and he's very tall, and you're thinking, what? No, he's not Miguel's biological son, but he is a half-brother to his 2 other sons. So Miguel adopted Leo when he was a child, and Leo always thought that Miguel was his father, biological father. But he's not in the bloodlines. And if you know about what I'm trying to say is Miguel, the Ruizes, they say that they're Toltecs, and they say that they follow Nahualism, Nagualism. But they are Luciferian Freemasons. They are Brotherhood of the Serpent. You can just take a look. One of my stepbrothers, Don Jose Ruiz's books, that's a bestseller, called something like My Best Friend the Rattlesnake. And he talks in it about an event where I was, even though he didn't mention that I was there. Where Miguel actually, in a space called Madre Grande, which means Big Mother, it was outside of San Diego. It's supposed to be a sacred feminine place, but why did Miguel say that it was one of his sacred places and do ceremony there, where I was present with my 2 stepbrothers when they were just in their beginning teens, and very amazing incident happened there that I'll talk about maybe later. I don't want to go into it now, but one part of it was, which I wasn't present because Miguel told me I couldn't come, so I had to sit on the desert floor in the scorching. In that part of California, the sun feels like a Mexican sun. It was early in the morning, but it's like blistering, and I'm very fair, and it was like I was baking on the desert canyon floor as they went off towards this mountain range that actually had a cave, which I didn't know, and they went inside this cave, and I was left there. I was fine though. I was just doing like prayers and enjoying the nature, but I didn't know that what Miguel had done at the time is he turned himself and showed himself to be an actual snake. Now, all snakes are not evil. You can usually think serpents are evil, but a snake is not evil. There are many holy snakes, like the cobras, and you can find this all over the world. It's really like a symbol of the Kundalini energy. But there are, like the serpent, like the Dark One himself. Like you can say, Satan and Lucifer are not the same beings. They are actually family related. There's a line of Satan, a line of Lucifer, and they have many things in common. But Miguel is a Luciferian. He's not a Satanist. His family, they are Luciferians, but they are children of Cain bloodline, because I've seen Miguel, even though at the time, which was long ago, I was, very gaslit. I thought Miguel was, he always said he was an incarnation of Michael the Archangel, among other things. And I saw him, because I am a seer, with his face looked pretty much the same, just a little bit different in the nose and face. And I saw him when we were at the bedside of one of my family members who was could have been at death's door, but was saved by my Swami, but that's another story. But Miguel appeared with huge, glossy, pitch black wings, huge. And I didn't think that was wrong. And I didn't mention it at the time, even though he showed up at the hospital, even though we didn't, my sister who was with me at my relative's bedside before he was going into surgery, we didn't tell Miguel anything like that because my relative didn't want it to be known what was going on with him. But Miguel just popped up outside of this hospital. It was a Scripps Hospital in La Jolla, which is a part of San Diego County in California. And called us on our cell phones and just said, "Hey girls, I'm outside. I'm going to take you to breakfast." Like he just knew, but he came in there and he said some very, which was also unusual for him, very derogatory things about our relative when we revealed how worried we were that our relative was in recovery, that had just come out of surgery, or waiting for him to. No, he was still in surgery at the time, and so we couldn't do anything. So we just went nearby. Miguel took us to a nearby Denny's to have some eggs. But anyway, what I'm saying was, and that I had just seen Miguel in his form standing right next to me at the foot of this relative's bed when he was being prepped, when the nurse was prepping him how they do to go into the OR. And it was pretty much, his doctor had pretty much signed off on him, like, you know, you're not going to make it. This is like it was like a Hail Mary thing. You're pretty much, we're just going to do the surgery, but you're pretty much done already. Anyway, I didn't mention anything to Miguel for years. And then some years later, when I just offhand, because I didn't talk about this stuff, I saw so many things, but I was very, very practiced at gaslighting myself. I wouldn't talk about things. My parents didn't like it. My mother, she would always tell me, "Oh, you're imagining things, or you're crazy, or whatever." So she was always very fearful of certain things, even though she was a very spiritual person. And then later was known, my mother's name was Gaia, was known, you know, as Miguel's wife and as a spiritual leader all over the world too. But when it came to me, we had an interesting relationship, and she just was like a gaslighter supreme, or extraordinaire, I could say. So I didn't mention these things, but when I just mentioned it offhand, and at that time I was not awakened to what Miguel was, even though I'd had very many terrible experiences. But I blame myself for them, and I was always saying like how he gaslit us, his apprentices, and even later when we became what he called teaching masters, you know, he's still gaslighting us to be in this cult. He would just say that, you know, you have to pass these tests, and, you know, are you strong enough, all this baloney. But when I mentioned to Miguel, I was like, "Oh, I didn't know you had black wings." And I just mentioned to him, he right away turned to something that I've talked about, that I want to talk about more, but I'm just mentioning what's called an empty body, which was a state that he was often in, along with his mother, who was named the first Hermana Sarita, Sister Sarita, or Madre Sarita, Mother Sarita, whom I was her only gringa apprentice in the healing rooms, you know, a long, long time ago. And I worked in the healing rooms in the templo, or the temples, not in the original temple, which was in a place called Barrio Logan, right very close to the border of Tijuana, border of Mexico, San Diego and Tijuana, that Sarita had owned, and it was called Nueva Vida. And Miguel, one of her 13 children, he was her youngest, and he apprenticed with her there too, even though he was became a medical doctor, became a surgeon for a short period of time before he had a supernatural incident that made him leave that and start to follow on this path that they call Nahualism, or being a Toltec, and learn from his mother about psychic surgery and different things, and then go on to teach. But my point was, oh yes, Sarita was often in the empty body state, and so was Miguel. And that's really, at the time I wasn't scared of it, but that's really scary. That means like the soul is not there. Like, where are they? Just like an empty body. And there were many instructions. You know, I was always working with Sarita. She was my step-grandmother, driving her to and fro around different areas around San Diego and LA and different places, and working in the temple, the second temple, which Miguel actually bought in a central part of San Diego. It was called Nueva Vida as well. but it was like right off of El Cajon Boulevard. It was in a nice residential area. And I would be working happily because I loved it. I mean, I'm a natural healer, but be working with people that would come from all over the U.S. and a lot from Mexico. We'd start work about 8:30 in the morning. We go straight until take a break like about 4 to go back to Miguel and Sarita's home where we were all living and have like the main meal of the day and then like a siesta, like a break. And then we start working again. Now, I really loved it. I just loved it so much. But working until, very late. And then lots of times people from Mexico would come like really late at night. And sometimes I'd be working till like 11 o'clock at night. But I loved it. And this was like pretty much every day except for half day on Sunday. So anyway, my point was that even though I had many terrible experiences, very terrible, I was still not awakened to, I was not acknowledging to myself, like, Miguel is not what he says he is. And something is very rotten in the state of Denmark. I didn't mean to go on and on with this whole topic, but my point is that I have had a foot very fully in both worlds. I work a lot with, and I still do now. If you don't think hell is real, hell is very real. It's dimension, though. It's not a physical place. And I work a lot with the underworld and going in different dimensions where souls are trapped and lost and everything else. And I'm an instrument of Mother, Father, God. So it's not my power doing this, but I am that instrument of the divine. And I do help. And like I always say, I want redemption for all souls. And I mean all types of souls. I pray for their redemption, but they have to want it. You can't force it on them. And no soul is damned forever, no matter what people tell you. Yes, it could be a million lifetimes before they get a chance of redemption, but there will always be a chance of redemption. Why? Because everything was created by Mother, Father, God. Everything, every type of soul. But every life existence is an opportunity for growth and evolution. Or you can devolve and go backwards, stagnation, turn some dark tendencies into completely foul tendencies. That's not Mother, Father, God's fault. Like Mother Divine says, many of her children have used her energy, her Shakti, her divine power, her energy, in ways that she did not give permission for and she doesn't like, but we do have free will. So this is not a time to be sleepy. And I have spoken a lot on my YouTube channel, but I'll just mention, if you don't know about things, about what's really been running this earth realm, what's been allowed to run, and the systems of control, and you don't know about what's been happening with our children and our babies, which is a huge topic, and you don't know about the deep underground military bases, the DUMBs, and the huge honeycombing of earth underneath our feet, of the underground tunnels that are running underneath even the ocean. And some of them have very, very old layers, like South Africa and Australia are two places that had the deepest tunnels, satanic tunnels, where the satanic beings do all their rituals and their sacrifices and everything else that they do. And then on top of that, they built more tunnels. If you don't know about the maglevs, the magnetic levitating trains that run through these tunnels, if you need to look up Philip Schneider, who was unalived, for his testimony, and you can see it for yourself. It's on YouTube, it's on Rumble, it's on BitChute. Go look at it and watch it. These are topics you need to know about. If you want to learn some, really experience it for yourself. Look up the Dutch banker Ronald Bernard, Bernard. Listen to him, look into his eyes, listen to what he has to say. Look up Jessie Zebotar, spelled Czebotar. Listen to what she has to say about being trained as a mother of darkness. Now she's a very Christian-loving chaplain. She does a lot of good work, but listen to what she has to share. She's very no-nonsense and gives facts and proofs, and she's actually in official court documents testifying for the White Hat Alliance against the evils and their minions for everything that they've done, and has helped to put a lot of people away. Look up Allie Carter, Allycarter. Listen to what she has to say and shared about her life. Look up the Dutch Anneke, spelled Anneke, Lucas, spelled Lucas. She's easy to find. She's all over the place. Look her up. Listen to what she has to say. The Australian Fiona Barnett, whom I haven't seen for a while, and that was back, I was red-pilled. I've talked about it, fully red-pilled, and woken up to what's been running this world, as well as to my stepfather's truest identity as a Luciferian and a, like I say, a brotherhood of the, being in the brotherhood of the serpent, being a force of darkness, not not a spiritual teacher, not a shaman of the light. But that happened to me on February 2nd, 2019, when I was in my kitchen, like, the broad daylight. I was hit on the crown chakra by an etheric lightning strike. Not real. It didn't come through my kitchen window. It was etheric. But it knocked me to my knees, and I got an instant download. And I was on my knees crying, going, no, no, no. I mean, it was instantly shown to me. And I had all that knowledge downloaded into me about the truth of what's been running this world and the truth identity of my stepfather and stepfamily. And it was, there are no words to describe that blow. But then I had to get up off my knees, and that day, like I've said, after I got up off my knees and called one of my sisters, and we talked for 3 hours, sharing things that we hadn't discussed before about different things. Then I stayed awake and I began 10 hours that day of deep independent research into the who, what, when, where, why, and how of what's been running this world, what I call the controllers. And it goes into all the areas. Anyone who's red-pilled knows all the areas that we've had to educate ourselves in, because everything has been a lie. My pricey liberal arts education, what a waste, what a lie. I was educated at the very expensive, what people pay for college, at very expensive prep schools. Most of it, what a waste. It's just all about controlling you, and very little that's like useful, other than it's good to know some literature and things like that. But other than that, everything they were teaching is just to like lock you into the matrix. And then you pay through the nose for it, or your parents pay through the nose for it. It's just ridiculous. And then you can't get a job. Like, hello. Let's see, what was I saying? Yeah, so, how about, but I haven't seen, Fiona Barnett, the Australian, when I was first red-pilled, she was someone that I was really looking into, and it was hard for me to believe it. I mean, I was watching her, but, I mean, it's very shocking when you first learn these things. She's Australian. She was very much involved in the area where Nicole Kidman, the man named Nicole Kidman, who's not around anymore, who's part of a very satanic cult out of Australia. Her father was his father, Nicole, was a guy. Nicole's father was supposedly, was a really influential, supposedly like a righteous, amazing guy with a lot of power. He was fully satanic, and Fiona Barnett was witnessed many horrible unalivings of other children and torturing of children, and what happens in many of these Catholic churches when after the regular mass is over with, and on the same altar they were celebrating for normies and doing everything, then they have their all the Satanists come in later with their child and baby sacrifice and drinking of blood, and sex orgies covered in blood, and the beings stabbed on the same altar that they just had the quote normal services a few hours before, and also in a lot of things that goes on in church basements. All the churches have basements, and there's all the tunnels that you see that as of right now, the White Hat Military Alliance global across the Earth realm have wiped out about 80% of these tunnels. So that's the good news, and I am going to be talking about that more, like in next couple of days. Something I want to share. But all the schools, all the amusement parks, all the anything to do with children, all the preschools, all the high schools, all the junior highs, all the hospitals, everything have the tunnels leading directly up to them for the child sex trafficking, for the human trafficking, for the hideous, barbaric, torturous organ harvesting, for all of it. So I haven't seen Fiona Barnett since then. I watched so many of her things. I don't know what happened to her. I hope she's all right. The wonderful Kathy O'Brien, who's very much still around, um, and still speaking out, and has a amazing bestseller. One of her best books is called The Transformation of America, and she's spelling trans as TRANCE, Transformation of America. She gives incredible testimony. Um, Nathan Reynolds, who's really being known and speaking out, and has some books on Amazon you can read. He's the Reynolds family are one of the top Illuminati families, and he describes much, and you should check him out, as well as Lance Collins. The Collins family is very interesting because they are uh, said to be the top witch family, the top satanic witch family that came over from England into America, which was a colony at that time. Or I shouldn't say colony at that time, because if you know our true, what really happened to my country, we were still under Crown of England, City of London, until 2019, I believe, when President Trump was initiated into being the 19th president of the constitutional reinstated republic. And that is going to be coming out. News is going to be coming out, along with all the other truth that comes out. So anyway, but the Collins family were known to be like the top one out of the Fritz Springmeier is an author that gives incredible information. If you don't know about the Illuminati families, you should check that out. But Collins is just was very powerful in the dark cult, and they're also originally like the Colonna family out of ancient Rome. Like I've talked about it, you can listen to my controller series. Like I said, I talked about how the children of Cain, seed of the serpent, popped up in ancient Sumer, and then in ancient Babylonia, and then went and infiltrated ancient Egypt, and then infiltrated ancient Rome. These are the ancient, incestuous, satanic, bloodthirsty, criminal, crimes against humanity, horrible leaders, and then infiltrated, the rest of Europe and Asia and Central Asia and Africa and America and all over the place. And anyway, the Collins family just has so much to reveal. And Lance Collins, he called himself John Todd. So when you can look him up, he's all over the place. There's many clips from the 70s. I don't think he's around anymore. He gave much testimony. John Todd, Todd, then, or you can say / Lance Collins, Collins. So there's many more, but I'm just giving you those if you haven't heard of those people. And so you have to experience this for yourself. And then always check in. Like I say, you don't have to believe me, and I don't want you to blanket believe me at all. I encourage people to do their own independent research, to open their eyes, develop their own discernment, and pray and meditate on everything. Like anything that you have a question about, don't leave it to your mind. The mind is very tricky and full of many blocks, and the ego mind is just ridiculous. But you have gut feeling that may have been covered up by different things. You may have a lot of beliefs that are incorrect that need to be undone. And that doesn't happen all at once. But once you get like a hunk, when you know, like I always say, people can trick us, pretty easily. I like to believe that most people are good and this, and I give people the benefit of the doubt mostly, but you can be tricked very easily, pretty much. But there's something about truth. It has a ring to it, like a bell, like a good quality bell. There's something about truth that when you hear it, it really rings out. And even if you don't know why, or you don't have any other information, when you really hear the truth, even in unexpected quarters, it has a quality to it that's unmistakable. While many good liars, you can think it's the truth and live your whole life by those lies, like we all have. It's hard to unravel that. And there's something said that I think is very true, that it's like people will do anything they just can't admit that they've been hoodwinked. They'd rather just keep believing the lies because it's so hard to believe how much we were suckered into so much nonsense and lived by it, and built our societies with it, and allowed ourselves to be squished and stamped down and satanized and used up and all that. But that's coming to an end. So there's a lot of good news. What I want to say is too, it was October 23rd, I spoke about this a little while ago, where I had an experience that was incredible, where I broke Grok. Yes, AI Grok. And I hadn't used it before. I'd asked it one question a few days before October 23rd, and I got some very wrong information. And then I was just wanting to see what it would say a few days later. I was like, well, let me ask this question, which led into like a full morning into like lunchtime of things that happened where I broke Grok. Even Grok admitted that I broke it. And I'm going to read that transcript to you, and I'm going to do it in an interesting way. The information, I want to share it. But since that day, October 23rd, even through all the processes I've been through, and my life has been dedicated to really spiritual work, spirituality, and the creative arts. And I've just done massive, endless, mind cleaning, soul cleaning, heart mending, everything else. But even with that, when I had that experience with Grok, I had, right afterwards, I was just drinking a glass of water. I was just kind of in shock of what had just happened, like kind of musing, like, wow, that's incredible. I had, like, I could say, like, an etheric arrow. Yes, I have a very supernatural life. That's just how it is. I would say we all have supernatural lives because we're all, we're not really this body. We're very supernatural. But I'm just saying, I guess my lifetime can seem a little more out there to a lot of people. To me, it's just how it is, status quo. But I had an energetic arrow that just hit me in the throat as I was just like looking towards one of my large windows and drinking a glass of water, just kind of musing about what happened. I just ding, it went right into the middle of my throat, right in my throat chakra. And I started choking. And instantly, it was like instantly, my throat chakra was just like shut down. Or I could say, honestly, it was really purified because I started choking. It's like I couldn't talk. It lasted for a long time, in a severe state, like over a week. But it kept on going. Like I still have remnants of it. I was just surprised the other day when I was trying to do a podcast, and I still have remnants of it, like this deep purification of my throat chakra. All the stuff that I've stuffed down in my lifetime, secrets. Don't tell the secrets. Don't tell the secrets of biological family. Don't tell the secrets of your step family. Don't tell these things that you've experienced and witnessed. Shut up. Be quiet. Go away. You're crazy. You're imagining things. So, and I don't think it's just from this lifetime. I think because the way that we are now with the energy that's hitting all of us on the earth realm, it's really a purification of stuff that we're holding from many lifetimes. But still, I still have a little bit of it. Like I still choke a little bit. I'm surprised I'm not choking as I'm talking now because I'm just telling the real stuff and I'm just laying it out there. So I want to share with y'all that transcript that I wrote down of me breaking Grok, because there's something in it I was like hesitant to, because it seems like at one point after I share this with you that I'm lauding myself, and I'm not. But the power of the voice, the power of our expression, the power of being on purpose and aligning with our mission, because we all have a mission. It doesn't have to be huge, but God all gave us a mission on top of the fact of learning, growing, evolving, and helping one another. We all have a particular mission, and life just gets so sweet. No matter the bitterness, no matter the ups and downs that we all go through, life just gets so sweet when you're aligned with your purpose and your mission, and you are. And you don't get shaken off of that. Yeah, it can take a left turn, take a right turn. You can course correct. It can be redefined as you're learning and growing. But when you're in the heart of it, your life is just so sweet and gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, because you've got the goods and you've got yourself. And you start learning more and more of what you really are and why you're here, and opening the door of possibility for yourself beyond what you could even imagine, and then sharing that with others and inspiring them to do the same. Because it's no good to feel like your life is becoming, better and better and this and that, and you don't share it. What's the point of that? I don't have a point of that. I want all of us, anyone who's truly willing, to rise up and to take steps toward being the best version of themselves, which doesn't mean being perfect, because nobody's perfect. I mean, we're perfect in truly what we are, but we don't really live that on the earth realm, in this heaviness, in this duality that's here of light and darkness. We're all different recipes of that. And it doesn't work to shame and blame yourself or other people, but that's not to say that you don't have the power of discernment and knowing right from wrong. It's not all good. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. There's evil and darkness, and then there's light, divinity, and holiness. And there's a way to live as a human on this earth realm. And there are many ways not to, unless you just want to be what they call in India, Rakshasa, a demon, and live in that way. No. So this went on longer than I thought it would, because I really have to go do something, and now my schedule is tardy. Or I'm tardy for my schedule, I should say. But thank you for listening. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. I end all of my clips with the closing prayer, which is in Sanskrit and Telugu, and what I'm saying is, God bless all beings in all worlds. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, peace, peace, peace. God bless you and yours. I'm sending much love and big hugs to you and yours. I'll see you when I see you. And bye-bye for now. God bless.